Batman. Good luck, Harry Potter.
Well, cover me with eggs and flour and bake me for 40 minutes.
Hello, and welcome to Screen Masters with me, Bav.
And me, Fluff.
And today on the show, we are going to be talking about the Jurassic World franchise. And at the end of the episode, ranking all of the World movies and the park movies in our own personal worst to best lists. So before we get into that, I would like to turn to some wise words. It was a night like this 40 million years ago. I lit a cigarette, picked up a monkey skull to go. The sun was spitting fire, the sky was blue as ice. I felt a little tired, so I watched Miami Vice. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody, walk the dinosaur.
Okay. Yeah.
I had no idea. Obviously, most things that people know about that song is the boom, boom, aka boom, 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 aka boom. And I knew the open the door, get on the floor. Everyone. I had no idea the lyrics for the verses were actually mental as they fucking are.
Sure.
But yeah, I lit a cigarette. I picked up a monkey skull to go. And he's 40 million years ago, but somehow he watched Miami Vice. It's fucking weird when you actually read the lyrics to it. But yes. There we go. There's the wise words for today. Anyway, before we get into it, let's do a little intro. How are you getting on?
Yeah, all right. Usual watching. Well, I'm still continuing my binge of anime at the moment. Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bouncing around, but you know me. I get in these little ruts of I'm gonna start watching a particular type of show. Be it historical epics or World War IIs or suddenly I'm going into anime. You find a little niche for a little while. Yeah. So I brought one to the table now. I think we may have mentioned this one off pod when we had caught up for a beer one week, but one I would highly recommend to you and others is Sentenced to be a Hero. The art style is very cool. I think you would enjoy it because there are similarities to Berserk.
Okay.
It's a little bit crazy at times. The whole Sentence to be a Hero is kind of in the title. Like, a hero is somebody that goes out and does good stuff, but essentially you've been drafted into this hero faction. It's the world building of it is quite fascinating. There's a few intriguing plots, and not everything is as it seems all the time, and that's kind of wonderful. But the action is batshit crazy at times. The animation for it is really, really good. It's a short series as well, which I've been noticing more and more that we're getting shorter, better series as opposed to here's 24 episodes of a mediocre show. They're kind of compressing them down to like 12 episode greats at the moment. I'm finding,
which would be nice because the older animes, like you say, it took 26 episodes of series, and you're like, Jesus Christ, can we cut some of the filler from this and maybe go down to 18? But again, the anime is not the only thing. Let's be fair. The network TV shows. Lost is, funnily enough, the one that popped into my head, but it was one of those ones that was guilty of it. 26 episodes, 24 episodes a season, and you had at least 4 or 5 or 6 absolute filler that you just didn't give two shits about. Smallville, for fuck's sake, there was a lot of them back in the day when it was done like that originally. I much prefer, like you say, these ones that I need 15 episodes to tell the story. Cool, do 15 episodes then. That's fine.
Don't get me wrong, there are still a number of series, and we'll get to that on our anime special eventually, that I love, and some of them are big series, but like Freerun's second series just finished, and it was only 10 episodes, because the arc itself just didn't warrant it. If you're going to get into the next arc, it's got to be bigger, and they just went, no, we'll compress it down to 10, and we'll release a bigger one next year. I like that studios are getting smart to that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking. Obviously, I said I can't remember how many episodes ago it was that I'd kind of fallen out of loving with anime a bit. I've been thinking about it, and I am formulating a hypothesis on why I haven't connected with stuff recently. And I think it might just be my age to a degree. Like a lot of the protagonists in the modern ones that I've tried to watch are angsty teens. And I'm not an angsty teen. And when I have 15 episodes of an angsty teen whinging about being an angsty teen, I'm a bit like, oh, just fucking grow up, shut up. Can't be fucked with you. Whereas I think back to ones like you say, Berserk, for example, or Fist of the North Star that I've mentioned before. The protagonists in those were full grown adult males. And so you didn't get much of that angsty teen thing that comes through. It's also potentially the type of manga I'm watching. You know, am I choosing ones that are all angsty teen boys? Because it's particularly the angsty teen males that wind me up. So, you know, I've also thought, well, maybe you should branch out a bit more then, you know, to try different types, try some isekais, try some, you know, I'm not a huge sports guy, as you know, but, you know, I hear Blue Lock, the football one, is very good. I hear Dandadan, which I think is based around boxing, is very good. It's like, oh, well, maybe I should give those ones a go then and see whether I like sports anime, you know, but it was that Dr. Stone one you mentioned last episode, actually, that really interested me. So I have put that on the list for a watch. And like you say, Sentenced to be a Hero. Yeah, there's from what I'm looking at, it says there's like 8 episodes. So fuck yeah, I'll give that a go. That's fine.
Yeah, I think it was 10 it capped at, and then just finished the season. But yeah, again, like I mean, you say Fist of the North Star again. That is, I don't know if you've realised, but that's actually come back and is on Prime at the moment.
Oh, so really?
Yeah.
Is it the original one or a new version?
No, it is a new run of it. I think it's whether it's still going to be the same series. I don't know because it's been so freaking long. I just know, having been on Amazon Prime recently, yeah, I just spotted it on there. I was like, oh yeah, I'll bring that up at our next conversation.
Oh yeah. There was a teaser trailer for it back in 2025. Oh, okay. Because yeah, the original one was 1984 to 1988, and I've got all of that in one massive DVD box set. If anyone remembers what DVDs were. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, well, that's going on the list then. I'm going to give that a watch because I used to love Fist of the North Star. It was awesome.
So yeah, I think at some point, you know, we'll go through. We'll sit down. We'll go through a bunch of like trailers for a few that I've watched, and I'll pick a couple of the ones that I think you might enjoy.
Yeah.
But
Sentenced to be a Hero, that is on the list. I will get.
I knew as soon as I watched that, I was like, no, that's like some hardcore. Again, it's you know, you got your teeny protagonist. It's very much like no, this is a dude in charge of his life and he's gone through some shit. So yeah, you'll enjoy that. Cool. Sticking with the animated theme, but I'll move away from anime for a moment. I have now got through and watched all first 4 episodes of Maul, Shadow Lord. Have you got around to seeing it yourself?
I haven't yet. I'd forgotten about it, to be honest, and I went to, what did I watch this week? Oh, Daredevil, Wednesday night. I went to watch Daredevil on Wednesday night, and it popped up, and I went, oh shit, I'd forgotten about that. So I clicked into it, and like you said, there's only 4 episodes on Disney Plus, so I was like, oh, cool, okay, and they're only 20 minutes, half hour long, so I was like, oh, awesome, okay, I'll watch that over the weekend then. But no, I haven't actually had a chance to watch it yet. Is it good? Is it worth watching? As far as I can tell, it seems to be set after everything we've seen, and he's trying to rebuild the crime syndicate he had.
Yeah, so this is set after the Clone Wars. But this is set.
Sorry, I mean like after the last point we saw. No, because Maul dies in Rebels, doesn't he?
Yes, exactly. So this is set before Rebels. So this is that interflux period. But yes, it is essentially him putting a collective together. It's one of those defining things that you remember how very unique the animation style was for Clone Wars, as we discussed and stuff like that, and the continuation that they developed over the years of that animation to when we got the Bad Batch, to now we've got Maul, Shadow Lord. the animation is beautiful. I can't stress enough how good Star Wars animation can be. The story, again, it's entirely dependent on whether you're interested in Maul or that element of the dark side and stuff like that, which I think is something that they really should bridge, because they tried it with the Acolyte and failed miserably because they just didn't follow the right kind of trend. You know, if you're going to look at the Sith or the dark side, you know, take it even further back to the early years of the Sith, you know, if you really want to get it. This is a good expansion of Maul as a character. If you've enjoyed him through the other stuff, you'll enjoy him in this. Again, you're going to have other elements of the universe in there as well. I'm not going to say who, what, anything like that, because there's no point. It does feel very self-contained, but it's also aware of its own history and where it's got to go. So, but the animation itself is absolutely staggering. You do just kind of go, yeah, they are actually one of the best animators around. It is shocking, quite how great it is.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Nice. Anything else?
Yeah. You've brought up Daredevil again. We're close to the end of that, so I think we'll hold fire until.
We hadn't mentioned it, I don't think, at all, had we? I assume you're watching it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know.
To see Punisher isn't going to be in it, because obviously, spoilers for the end of the first season if you haven't seen it, people. But the post-credit sequence at the end of the first series sees Punisher breaking out of the prison he's been put in by the Kingpin.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you didn't watch the post-credit sequence, you wouldn't know, and you'd come to this series and go, "Well, why is it? What? Where's Punisher gone?" And obviously, it's because they're doing a one-shot, aren't they? That comes out just before the movie, the Spider-Man movie that he's in, comes out.
So yeah, it's like Daredevil will finish the next day. Punisher's released, and then like a week or a period of time later, then Spidey.
Yeah.
So it is the dominoes are falling. I've conflicting about the series in general so far.
I agree.
The problem for me is, and it, you know, it was very much apparent as soon as he went, the foggy of it all. You can say what you like, but humanizing, you know, Daredevil, humanizing Matt, that was the guy that did it. And he was, you know, I've said this several times. The first two seasons of that show were phenomenal to me. It doesn't matter what, you know, everybody's opinions. This is the thing, you know, opinions, everybody's entitled to them. But for the first two seasons, their interactions were the heart and soul of that show. Yes, Karen added a layer into that, sure. But those two, that best buddy relationship, just went together in spades. And all I'll say is, when you get a flashback that throws that character back in, it wrenches your heart because you realize how much you've missed that person, and they should never have gone from the fucking series in the first place. It is what it is. You can't do anything to backpedal that shit now. But yeah, it makes the impact a little bit sour in my mouth, because I'm like, you never should have done it. Like, you never should have done it. I didn't agree with it then. It had an impact, but I never agree with it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Funnily enough, I was going to reference that. I think it was this week's episode, wasn't it, where it was half flashbacks. It was a flashback to Kingpin meeting Vanessa and a flashback to Foggy and Matt.
Yeah.
And like you say, that episode was the best one of the season, I think, so far. But it was because of that. It was because of the Foggy of it all. Because now that Karen is a bit, you know, she's training fucking jujitsu in the basement with him every day, sort of thing. She's becoming a hard ass, and she thinks that Bullseye should just be killed outright for what he did, sort of thing. And Matt's being the more level-headed one. And it's that, you know, they're having to do that because Foggy was the character that talked Matt down when he got too into it, when he couldn't cope with the injustice and wanted to take things further. Foggy was the one who talked him down. You know, that's why he threw Bullseye off the roof intending to kill him in the first series. So yeah, the dynamics aren't quite gelling for me at the minute, but it's because, like you say, it's this week taught me exactly why that is, and you're totally right. It is the Foggy that's missing.
Yeah. There are elements of the show that I've enjoyed. At the end of the day, it's still a good, faithful adaptation for Daredevil. I'm not going to dispute that. Again, the first series of Born Again was good. Funnily enough, again, one of the best episodes coming out of that was the self-contained episode in the bank that Charlie Cox, the actor, really didn't like, and I was like, yeah, but and this is sometimes where I feel that disconnect between what you think is good and what the audience actually wants. They tout these as always being the best series, and I'm like, yeah. But is it? Like, exactly. Is it? There are characters in this series that I could give absolutely two shits about. The psychologist that's his former girlfriend could care less about her story. Christy McDuffie, you're a lawyer and you're the replacement lawyer because Foggy's not here. There are those little elements that I'm not bothered by these side characters. Vanessa, they've expanded her and connected more of how she and Wilson are intertwined, which will cause more fucking problems now as a result of episodes, etc. I'm curious to see where it goes. I will caveat that I'm a bit pissed off again that they're shooting season 3 of it at the moment and they're leaking photos, which essentially gives away part of the plots of the series. Fucking get your shit together, Marvel. Sincerely. You also just did a trailer at CinemaCon. Gotta go around that. And you went, oh, look, here's the new Avengers trailer. And you've once again isolated 99.9% of your audience by not having the trailer up almost immediately after.
Yeah.
You're really getting on my nerves, Marvel. Get your shit together.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens this December for Doomsday, as they're calling it. I'll segue off that then, because I was going to discuss, a few of the CinemaCon announcements that I thought were interesting. For me, I'm a sucker for Jackass. I was astonished to hear that they're doing another one. The Best and Last is the title, so we will see. I'm all on board for another Top Gun. I've very much enjoyed Maverick. Obviously, like I say, you got Dune Part 3 and Doomsday, so they're trying to coin Doomsday for this December to see who wins out of those. I'm interested in Disclosure Day, the Spielberg one. I think that looks really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing one. I like the fact that I haven't seen a huge amount. We've only had one sort of. It's not a teaser trailer. It's longer than that, but it doesn't really tell you a huge amount about what might be happening. So I'm quite interested in that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential layers, and I'm not quite sure which genre to put it under until I watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the only thing is that, bless her, Emily Blunt, do you really have to use so much Botox? I mean,
she's very pretty, but yeah.
But I mean, there's no facial expression.
Naturally pretty, yeah.
There's no facial expression. But again, this is opinion, so
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the Spaceballs?
Of course.
Title announcement trailer. At least he explained why they didn't go for the open goal. I like that he explains in the trailer why they didn't call it Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money.
Mm-hmm.
That was an open goal to me, but I do like Spaceballs, the new one. I think that's quite funny. Yeah, I mean, there was sort of half an announcement about a James Bond movie, but the announcement was, hey, we're still making James Bond, but it's ready when it's ready, which I found amusing.
Yeah, instead of going, this is the actor that we've got to do, we're working on the script, but this is the actor. No, we haven't even settled that yet.
No. And to me, they're on a limited time frame because I don't think it's too long before the first Ian Fleming book becomes public domain. I think we're only 2 or 3 years away from Ian Fleming's characters, James Bond becoming a public domain property because it will be 75 years after his death. So I have a feeling that we are 2 or 3 years away from that. So they haven't got long before, we'll start getting James Bond Blood and Honey, as shitty indie horror movies or whatever they decide to do.
Oh god, yeah, they've gone through God knows how many of
Christ,
the
there was a Peter
Disney
Pan
characters.
one. There's a Steamboat Willie one because of the
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse stuff, but they did 2 with the Winnie the Pooh ones, and the first one was fucking shit enough anyway. And then the final one is I am losing faith day by day in the Mandalorian and Grogu. I really am. The more I see, the more I just go, this is a Disney Plus TV show.
Sure.
Like, I don't mean like it is one, because it is, but it just looks like it doesn't look like a big budget Star Wars production. No. It looks like a 2-hour long episode of the TV series.
Yeah, 100%. Am I still going to enjoy it? More than fucking likely. I'm not going to lie.
I'm a sucker. 100%. Get it, you know. But
100%.
I am worried. I am really worried.
Yeah. No. The problem is that this is like, we're going to give you Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau a little bit of money to do a Star Wars film just to cap off the Mandalorian and Grogu. We'll see what happens with it, and if it does well, we'll maybe let you do so. I don't know. It feels like they're just giving this to allow them to finish that story, and the success of that will determine whether they go, we're going to do a sequel, and guess what? If you do a sequel, we'll give you a much bigger budget and we'll let you play with the toys a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Like you say, I do think it's been agreed upon because it's a capper to the series, and they're hoping that it'll make some money, and they'll make more money if it's in a cinema than they will if it's released on Disney Plus. But like I say, we will see when the time comes.
I mean, we've still got the second season of Ahsoka and whether they do anything with Thrawn. So those two other little factors, you know,
because I wondered whether we might get. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Ahsoka taking place in the same sort of frame of time as Mandalorian?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, if you...
That they were going to do Ahsoka Season 2, set up Thrawn, and then he would be the bad for Mandalorian and Grogu, and you do your Avengers episode, you know, your Avengers Assemble bit, where you pull Ahsoka in, you pull Thrawn in, you've got the Mandalorian, you pull Boba Fett in. I mean, they all sort of team up as a super gang to take down Thrawn.
In the linear of the series so far, I would probably say that Mandalorian Season 3 preceded Ahsoka Season 1. The reason I say that is because they do play off of the fact that Gideon in that is saying, where is Thrawn? You keep talking about him, but he's not here. And then the next series of Ahsoka is Thrawn returning. So it does lead me to believe that one dovetailed into the other. And so we may get a feeling in The Mandalorian and Grogu that Thrawn is out there.
Yeah, I think so. Because, yes, there is a bit... Because Ahsoka is in one of the Mandalorian seasons, isn't it? And the episode she leaves in... I'm sure there's like a post-credit sequence or something towards the end where she is fighting with someone and then threatens them and says, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? And that's where we leave her character until we see her in the Ahsoka series, I think.
Well, that ends with her taking her hostage and basically like, tell me where Thrawn is. And that's Morgan Elsbeth, who then appears in Ahsoka. So that's, it leads into that. And then we see Ahsoka, well, we actually see her in the Book of Boba Fett because that's the bridge.
Yes, we do. Yes, I forgot.
Well, because obviously she's there, sees Luke and sees Grogu and gives, gives the advice, blah, blah, blah. And then, she goes off on her thing and basically says, nice to meet you, I'm going off. And then clearly she's off to her own series at that point. So, but I would say we may get hints. We don't know. Either way, you know what? I love the Mandalorian and Grogu as characters. I love the little, father-son dynamic that they've got.
Yep.
I'm happy to go and see a film about it, if I'm being honest. I'm switch off, hour and a half. I'm cool.
Yep. Near enough this time next month, within a few days. Back end of May, I'm pretty sure it launches. Right, last thing I will mention then, and sorry, everyone, this is the last time I shall mention it for this year because the new series won't be until next year. The Pitt has finally wrapped up its second series. Last episode I watched last night. It made me cry. It was fucking incredible. I cannot speak highly enough about this series, but that is, I promise, the last time I will mention it until the new series next year.
I'm assuming by at this point you haven't watched all of Scrubs.
I haven't started.
Then we'll catch that next time then.
I am on the fence.
I would just say watch it.
I'm not sure I want to watch it because I was so badly burned.
I would say watch it.
The final, was it 1 or 2 seasons of Scrubs? The ones where they tried to change the interns and everything, and I just didn't like the new characters. I didn't.
I, as somebody who's enjoyed it, I think you would. I'm not going to say you're going to love all of the takeaways from it because it is difficult when you introduce new interns on top of the pre-existing cast. That's always difficult. But I will say these interns are better than the last bunch of fucknuts.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, I have heard positive things from people who like the original series, and they tell me it is very much,
it's 9 episodes long.
It used to be. It is that you will piss yourself 1 minute, and then it'll have you on the verge of tears with 2 minutes later, without feeling like the tone has just spun on a sixpence. And that was something that Scrubs was always incredible at. It always managed to make me go from one emotion to the other in a very short space of time without getting any sort of tonal whiplash that other shows can give you. And I've never known how he managed it, but he was incredible at it, Bill Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean it's a short season. It's like 9 episodes long, so it's not.
Well, that encouraged me as well.
Yeah, it's not huge by any stretch. And again, whether they pick it up or not, again, it leaves it on that note of if they pick it up, that's great. If they don't, okay, this is still the world that we lived in, So as somebody who loved it, I do think you should go and watch it because it's better than the last, whatever the hell it was, Scrubs. Was it Scrubs interns or Scrubs med like school or some shit like that? It's better than that was.
Good. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I will give it a shot then. Particularly again if it's short. So that helps because again, Scrubs was one of those 24 episode a season type shows. Although to be fair, there must have been filler and I must have just not cared because it was just that good. Right. Well, if that's us done with the intro, then I will move on to the next, to the main topic. So, yes, we finished with Jurassic Park 3 in 2001, and as we discussed at the end of the last episode, the law of diminishing returns was seemingly very much active towards the end of that particular franchise's run. So they left it for 14 years, and in 2015 we got Jurassic World, with the main star, of course, because who else did you pick in 2015? Nobody but Chris Pratt. He was everywhere at that time, in the Lego movies, in the Marvel stuff, and plenty of other things besides, because I think it wasn't long after this that there was the whole turn against Chris Pratt because everyone was sick of seeing him in everything. But yes,
I mean, you can't. It sucks. Like, sorry, am I supposed to be? How is he supposed to be against me that I was suddenly successful and that everybody wanted to? What am I supposed to do? Say no? Bless him.
Yeah, that's it. I'll turn down this massive franchise that could make my career. Yeah, no, it's funny the way it goes, isn't it? Chris Pratt's Chris Pratt. If you're hiring Chris Pratt, you know what you're getting. And I don't want him to be anything other than Chris Pratt. If you're casting Chris Pratt, you know what I mean? He's not quite a Ryan Reynolds, because I do think Ryan Reynolds these days, particularly, he plays Ryan Reynolds. He doesn't play anyone else anymore. He is just quippy, improv-y Ryan Reynolds. That's what he is these days. And I don't think Pratt is quite as bad as that, but, he does have a type, I think you could say. But yeah, so we come back. It's 2015. Colin Trevorrow is brought in to co-write the scripts along with a couple of others and direct the movie. I mean, where do you start? Let's be honest. I don't think it's a terrible film. I don't think it would be fair to call it a terrible film. I think it is an okay film. It is fine. It is fine. It is what it set out to be. It is a modern reimagining of Jurassic Park for the next generation. That is what it was supposed to be, and that is what it does. Everything is bigger. Hence why we're not in a park anymore. We're in a world. All of the sights and sounds and building, everything is bigger, better, newer, more modern. And obviously, even the dinosaurs, because the main big bad of this one is the Indominus Rex, I think it is, which is a hybrid of multiple different species that they've genetically made. So, immediately we're into the proper genetic modification stuff that was not really a part of the first ones. It was all, trying to bring back the dinosaurs the way they were. Whereas now, as it says in the film, people are getting bored of seeing the T-Rex now. It's not scary anymore. So we need something else scarier to come in and do it. But again, you look at the movie itself, it is, in essence,
by
the
numbers.
same plot as the first one.
Yes.
Here's an island. We got a bunch. I mean, you even look at the plot lines. The kids go off on their own and get lost in the park and have to be saved by the guy who's the dino expert, which is exactly the plot for the kids in the first one.
Yeah, it's like he went up to J.J. Abrams and went, when you rebooted like Star Wars and basically just took A New Hope and then rewrote it and then just, changed it a bit. Can I have your notes? How did you do that?
That is why we do this, my friend. That is why we do this. Do you know what I've got? My next line says, I think of it like The Force Awakens. It's the same basic plot with new people. I wonder whether he copied JJ's homework.
There you go.
That is exactly what I have written, mate. That is fantastic that we both read the same thing from it. Because it is. It is a remake of the first one.
It's paying by numbers.
Exactly.
This is the hit list that we need to do. We need to have a pissy, angry guy that's there. Vincent D'Onofrio. Yep, you'll fill that role. Okay, so we need these two kids. You guys, perfect. Okay, we need a hardworking person that doesn't really care about kids, but eventually by the end of the film does like kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yep, great. That's great. Yep, you're signed in there, Bryce Dallas Howard. Thank you very much. It's paying by numbers. I'm not for the budget though. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot there. If you think about some of the films that have spent an equal amount of money, it doesn't look as good. Now they've still kept to a little bit of that practical 3D effects. So they've kept a little bit of that to keep that little bit of magic. But the problem is that, and as we'll explain as it gets further and further down the line, when you start manipulating the DNA of dinosaurs and then you're creating an AI composite of it, it's not as good as, guess what, the real fossils that you can find in museums and the records that we can look at and go, yeah, that is how they look. Now you're creating these composites. And I'm sorry, but a T-Rex is still fucking scary to me in whatever era you put it. I mean, but again, it's fancying it up and going, let's create Jurassic Park, Jurassic World for the new kids. And guess what? It sold $1.6 billion worth of fucking tickets. So,
I didn't know it broke $1 billion. Didn't know.
Oh,
that.
yeah. I mean, this, again...
but I suppose, like you say, it's that first one. It's got the impact for that next generation, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's that, okay, we've had 14 years since the last Jurassic Park film, which means we've got at least 20-plus-year-olds that probably were alive when they saw the first one, who have now got an entire generation of their own to take the film to. And let's market it as a family fun film. And guess what? All the kids love Chris Pratt. All the parents love Chris Pratt. Let's put Chris Pratt in it. And guess what? It drew the numbers.
Yeah, clearly. I did not know it had broken $1 billion. Did not know that.
It's by far the highest, of the franchise, but it's funny because it's also no surprise because sometimes, and this is the thing I think we're saying about other franchises. Sometimes, guess what? Give an IP a break and then come back with a good film, or at least a film that people want to go and see.
Yeah, absolutely, and like I say, it for those of us listening in the UK, you may remember a brand called Ronseal, and its slogan was, "It does exactly what it says on the tin." And I would argue that you could say this was that. It does what it says on the tin. It is Jurassic Park, but bigger, better, modern sheen for the modern audience. If I'm being nice to it, maybe more than it deserves, you could argue that it has a meta narrative in that the park itself has to be bigger and better than the first park, and it has to have bigger and scarier monsters than the first park. I think you could read a meta narrative there if you wanted to, in that it is mirroring what the actual film itself is trying to do. You know, the film itself is also trying to be bigger and better than the first one. It is trying to have bigger, scarier animals, and like I say, that's why the change of the word at the end, Jurassic. It's not a park anymore. It's a world. It's bigger. It's more expansive, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know, there were different drafts and different potentials for storylines. Again, because, being the huge film geek of that era and still am, you always read the trades or whatever we want to call it. And so, yeah, I'd read about the potential for what the story could have been. Personally, I was more interested in that. The idea of, the idea that the dinosaurs have actually ended up breeding and spreading, and it begins to actually have ecological issues because their breeding starts to spread and they start to take over territory. And, guess what? You've got pterodons in the bloody sky where you can't have planes everywhere. All that.
Yeah.
Trying to merge those two worlds of the Jurassic era and the modern era. That's a little bit more fascinating to me than a repeat of Jurassic Park.
Correct. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But again, I'm in the minority here because $1.6 billion
yeah,
for itself.
Clearly. Funnily enough, there is a bit of this film that I think was inspired by a sequence in the second book. There is a sequence in the second book where the Sarah Harding character, has to chase down a pack of raptors, and she does so on a motorcycle and is racing alongside them at points, and then they get away from her a bit and then she catches up. And obviously there's a lot of Chris Pratt riding motorcycles chasing down raptors. So I wondered whether that was a nod, an homage, call it what you will, to the second book.
Yeah, the whole human raptor thing always takes me back to the story of the scorpion and the frog. Personally, any person with the soul should know that story. It kind of takes me back to that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you can't domesticate a vicious fucking velociraptor. Just can't do it. My apologies, just not believable. But at the same time, guess what? It makes interesting film because tug at the old heartstring. Oh, look at the raptors. I guess everybody loves a raptor. What can you say?
I guess their argument would be that they're building on where Park 3 left it, because obviously by the end of Park 3, Sam Neill was was able to communicate on a basic level with the raptors. So I'm wondering whether in their head they're just like, well, this is just the natural evolution of that. But it doesn't work for me because, like you say, well, Sam Neill's, it worked because he had a thing that generated the vocal sound. So if Chris Pratt was using something like that,
he's talking, and that's the thing.
He's literally treating them like
talking English.
Exactly.
He's talking English to them. He's not like trying to communicate. He's like, "All right, stop it, oi, bad boy, oi."
Exactly. And it's like, no, then they're not a pack of dogs, I don't think. But like you say, that's liberties, isn't it? Liberties that are taken. I don't really have anything else on the first one other than that.
No, I mean,
I think it's a bad film. I think it's fine. It's all right. It does. If it set out to redo the first film for a modern audience, bigger and more expansive, I think it achieved it. Like you say, like the bit with the mosasaur sort of SeaWorld splash pool type, that's actually quite a cool idea. Like, to see that brought to life, I found quite interesting and fun,
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad film by any stretch. It's also going to be hard to top the first film, as we discussed when we were talking about it.
You are trying to hit a bar that is in the stratosphere,
Yeah.
and you clearly cannot get that high.
No, there's a reason why original films are as monumental as they are, because they're original. This isn't something new. This isn't, you're essentially recreating the film but on a bigger scale, which again is not a bad thing, because guess what, Hollywood is there to make money, and it make them a shit ton of money. So yeah, it's the sensible thing to do. Get a decent director that is known to get a few big budget box office hits, get some stars that are gonna do the same, put them in a blender.
You're not talking about Tomorrowland, are you?
Funnily enough, here's your thing. Brad Bird actually provides a cameo in this film as the monorail announcer. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those little things of knowledge that I actually know because I love Brad Bird so much.
Yeah. No, that's fair, man. That's fair. I'm thinking of the right guy, aren't I?
Brad Bird, Tomorrowland.
Oh, sorry. That's me being a twat then. Apologies. I thought
you mean you're thinking of the Tomorrow War?
Oh, Christ. Was that Trevorrow?
No, that was Pratt.
Oh, sorry. No, I've completely forgotten. Yes. And we've discussed that film before. It doesn't make sense on any level. Apologies. I had it in my head that Colin Trevorrow directed Tomorrowland. Apologies.
No, it was Brad Bird.
Entirely me being a twat. So yeah, we move on a few years to 3 years later, 2018, to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So Trevorrow steps to one side for the directing of this one. This is J.A. Bayona, who I'd only really known for horror work before I saw this, because he did direct some things like The Orphanage, Penny Dreadful, the series. He did like a Monster Calls. So he has quite a good eye for the sort of. Oh, he also directed a couple of episodes of Rings of Power since this. Oh dear, bless you. Never mind. So yeah, this is one of those ones, a bit like The Lost World, where I like it more than I should, I think. Like, because let's be fair, the first third or at least nearly half of the movie is almost like a Michael Bay thing. If you remember that South Park Imagination Land episode where they get Michael Bay in to explain how to write a story or something, and he's just like, oh yeah, and then this goes and then that goes and then this comes in and they're like, yeah, that's not a story, Michael. That's a series of action sequences. And he goes, oh, I don't know the difference. Like, the first part of the film is just like, oh, no, watch out, over there, bang, oh, no, look, that's over there, oh, no, bang, oh, we're going to go off a cliff, oh, no, bang. And it's like, we've got to race to the island to rescue the dinosaurs because the volcano that is erupting on the island that they're on. Again, I would hear an argument, and personally, I think it's kind of the same as basic idea of The Lost World. We go back to the island because we've got to get the dinosaurs off, and then the back half of the film is the dinosaurs in the real world. And particularly when you get to the back half of it, when it is, because what's this one? They've developed, do they call it the Indoraptor, I think? So it's a mix between raptor DNA and the Indominus Rex. And it's able, it attacks targets based on a laser pointer and shit. So obviously there's a big auction in the second part, hosted by Toby Jones, who I love. Toby Jones, love seeing him in that randomly as the auctioneer for this. And all the rich people are bidding on it so they can, use it for wars and shit or whatever they're going to do. I like that second half where it becomes a bit of a harder edged, almost nasty in places, like and has that little those horror inflections that I think you can see in Bayona's earlier work. I think he draws on some of that to give it a bit of a nastier edge for the back half.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's better than in theory it should be, because it didn't massively, the problem with the first film and then the second one of the original, parks, was there, as the films went on, there was a bit more of a disconnect that I feel is a little bit in the same way. This one does well, but I also would say it's hindered, unfortunately. Now, I don't mind I don't mind actors at times, but when you get, it's okay, we're going to put another English person in here who's a bit of an arsehole, and I'm like, oh, God. And Rafe Spall, bless him, he's okay, but I also didn't like his work with this. I don't know why. Sometimes when you've got a character, it takes it out a little bit. I'm like, oh, I kind of get you're a bit of a sniveling, conniving piece of shit kind of thing.
Yeah.
But oh God, do you have to do the usual tropes? So that took it out a little bit for me. Again, it's they're retreading part of the idea of genetics, from the previous one, and taking it in that okay, well, who doesn't want a velociraptor under their control? But I'm also, questioning how much does it cost to genetically create a fucking velociraptor? Surely you could just pay people to do it a bit easier.
Yeah.
So there's again, it's a suspension of disbelief to a certain extent. There are elements of the film which are good, but it's again part of the reason that it's enjoyable is because you've got Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, who actually have this good relationship on screen at this point, and it kind of makes the film a little bit better for it.
They do carry it largely, and obviously they go, well, where can we want to bring someone back from the original ones. Let's shoehorn Jeff Goldblum into this, and we'll open with him talking about the way of the world, and then we'll end with him talking about the way of the world, but so that we can put it in the trailer and everyone thinks Ian Malcolm's going to be in it, but actually he's a tertiary character that just we use for narration at the beginning and end of the movie.
Yeah, there's just a lot about it which again it feels like, oh, okay, we might be setting up a couple of things for the potential of this franchise and blah 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 blah. It didn't hit all of the right notes for me. As I say, by the time you get to the end, and you've got, like you say, you've got Malcolm beginning and end, and he's just like, oh, we've got a beginning of a new age, we've got to coexist. This is how I wanted this whole new part of the franchise to start, I was hoping. But it doesn't, again, feel as though it's necessarily still going and fully embracing that idea. It's still very much like, no, humanity's in control. Like, we still keep them on a couple of small islands.
Yeah. This is
not really coexistence, is it?
No.
When you trap them to a couple of islands, that doesn't really,
Yeah, and like I say, it doesn't worry too much. It likes to talk about the dinosaurs being in the real world and show us very, very short clips at the end to show them in the real world, but it doesn't ever dig into it and get into the weeds on what would that actually be like day to day if pteranodons were flying around in the sky. It wants to show us these cool clips of someone surfing on a beach and a mosasaur jumps out behind them because that's a cool image, but it never actually wants to do the work to dig into how humanity would manage that situation. And I think that's the more interesting part of it, personally.
Yeah. Again, I mean, we now, once this is done, it is setting things up, and it does now flow into the next one.
Yeah, to a degree.
And again, what did they try to do here? Okay, well, at this point, we're now three movies in. Let's get everybody back. Let's get all the old guys back.
Yeah, I was going to say my first line. So yes, Jurassic World Dominion. The first two were like 2 hours and a tiny bit long. This one's 2.5 fucking hours long. Released in 2022. And yes, my first line is, well, here we go. The inevitable Avengers Assemble one. Box office is down. We need to merge the franchises and pull on the nostalgia heartstrings. I mean, to me, Dominion is a bad film. It's a really bad film.
As I said, it's at this point, you've had a repeat of Jurassic Park, and that did quite well because, self-contained island, bunch of crazy stuff. Okay, that's fine. But you didn't really start the new part of this franchise off in the best of ways. And you've just kind of dropped the ball a little bit with this one. Again, it's, you can put all the old guys back together, but at the same time, you're like, oh yeah, remember, they were together. Yeah, no, they're divorced now. Okay, so the happy couple that you remember from the original. Yeah, no, they've gone through some shit, and it's like fucking hell. Like, there's a little bit of escapism that we want people to have had slightly happy lives in the world. Not everybody needs to get divorced for shit's sake. I know that is probably more than 50% of the world these days, but anyway,
yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I like I say, I think it's shit. I think it's a really bad film. It feels like no one really wants to be there at this point. Like, if in terms of the actors, something that started in Fallen Kingdom that really, really drags it down in this one is all the cloning bollocks with Maisie is her name, I think. Maisie Lockwood, and all this cloning nonsense that came along. Yeah, they sort of started picking at that in Fallen Kingdom, and I wasn't interested then, and now this, it forms part of the core plot. Again, why is this so bad for me? I can sum it up in a headline. This is a dinosaur movie about dinosaurs, and at this point, they are in the real world all over the world. And what's the plot of this movie? It's about giant locusts eating wheat.
Yep.
That is it. And I even checked. If you look on IMDb, here's the 2-line summation for the movie. 4 years after the destruction of Isla Nublar, Biosyn operatives attempt to track down Maisie Lockwood while Dr. Ellie Sattler investigates a genetically engineered swarm of giant insects. It's a fucking movie about dinosaurs! Yep. What the fuck? And the word dinosaur doesn't even make it into the fucking 2-line blurb. You've gone wrong. Something's gone wrong somewhere, everyone.
Yeah, it's a hugely convoluted bloody story that is unnecessary. And again, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna throw all of the old characters in, and we're gonna make up all this new bollocky technology, and okay, yeah, let's go about clones and blah blah blah. It's as though they've just tried to mash two ideas for a story together, and they've just come out with a bag of shit.
I'd be amazed if it was only 2 stories they've jammed together, the amount of shit that's in there. Because again, what people maybe don't realise, because it looks like retroactive continuity when you look at it. Dodgson doing his Tim Cook evil CEO bit, and all the Biosyn stuff, which, Jesus Christ, could you have a more on-the-nose name for an evil genetic manipulation company? Biosyn? I don't think you could hit the nail any more on the head. I assumed when I watched Dominion, because obviously I hadn't read the books, I assumed that all of that bullshit was retroactive continuity so that you could tie it back to the first movie and everyone would go, oh, well done. Like Marvel likes to do a lot of the time these days when they had no real, they never intended it to tie in, but suddenly will make the end of Captain America Brave New World bring a catharsis for the 2008 movie Incredible Hulk. There's what? No. But actually, it's all in the books. Dodgson, Biosyn, the genetic engineering of the locusts. I don't think it's locusts in the book. It's a different species. But all of that is actually covered in the first 2 books. Oh, well, in the 2 books at different points. So I found it astonishing that it wasn't actually retconning that they had done, that they had actually just gone back to the source material and decided to dig up all the Dodgson Biosyn stuff at that point and put it in.
Yeah, it's the problem is that, again, it's that thing of like, at least with, the first of these ones, again, whether you're interested in watching, a genetically modified T-Rex hybrid, whatever the hell, the focus very much was, this is Jurassic World, and there's a lot of dinosaurs here, and that's what the film's about. And this is about a bunch of fucking locusts. The dinosaurs are a bit part player of the whole fucking thing. And it's like, If I was a betting man, I wonder how many of the scenes of the dinosaurs are actually in the trailer, and they actually make up the runtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's a 2.5 hour. It's too bloated.
Yeah, it's too long.
You are trying to get people to commit to this with a convoluted bloody storyline, a ballooned bloody. Right. Again, I think this is the one. This is the one.
Tell me how much they spent on this, because it's
right.
got a fucking fortune.
I mean, now here's the thing, right? So over the last two films, we've actually seen it's a weird thing. If you check it out now, part of this apparently is due to the big C, COVID,
right?
Because a lot of,
I suppose, released in 2022. So okay,
that's the thing. So I believe that it was under production, and then they had to stop production because the world shut down.
Yeah.
So I do believe that it did balloon. Now, the estimations for this and the previous one were 170 to 465 million was the budget. I don't know where the
460 million.
Not entirely sure how and or why that ballooned fucking budget came under. I'm trying to actually look now. A lot of a lot of pandemic stuff caused stuff. Is this the one where one of the sets got completely blown down as well? I can't remember if it was
Could
this
have been.
one.
Yeah, I do remember something around that, though. Yeah, I do remember something about that.
So again, but whether that is now taking into a factor of, your marketing and stuff like that, but by far, this and the previous one were by far the most expensive ones made to date.
That's insane. Obviously, it's an estimate, but Jesus, if it went up as high as that, it can nowhere near have made its money back. I'd be surprised if this made 500 million, to be honest.
Right. So again, we'll just quick. Okay,
because we might as well. Go on.
We'll go because I liked it. I liked it, especially given the next one. We'll get to the rebirth in a moment. But these three again feel like very much tied together because it is the same cast and stuff. I agree. So weirdly enough, it's like a repeat of diminishing returns. We got 1.6 billion for Jurassic World, 1.3 billion for Fallen Kingdom.
The second one actually broke $1 billion. Christ.
And just over $1 billion for Dominion.
Oh, God. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. There's obviously more, I was going to say stupid people than I thought, but that's not fair because I watched it. So it worked, didn't it? The nostalgia play worked. Bringing them back. This is why they keep doing it, isn't it? Because us keep showing up to watch the bastards.
But it's that thing of diminishing returns again, in the sense of your audience participation. Because guess what? If you just keep doing this, okay, well, we're just going to throw the old guys at it, and we're just going to go on a bit of nostalgia. Eventually, it's diminishing returns because nobody believes you anymore, and nobody's going to believe in what you're selling. And, well, we get around now.
Well, hang on. Just before you move on, there's one last thing I wanted to say on these three. At this point, I would like to, because Colin Trevorrow came back to direct this one and obviously co-wrote all three of those three world movies. I want to ask the question, is Colin Trevorrow actually a good writer? I'm not convinced he's that good. Unless he would blame the people he co-wrote the scripts with for how bad, particularly this one, turned out. It did make me go, I'm not sure you're any good, actually. It's the same as JJ. JJ's got an amazing visual... JJ Abrams, sorry, just for those who don't know. That's who I'm referencing. He's got an amazing visual eye. He's an amazing filmmaker. But I don't think he's necessarily the best script writer or story planner in the world.
Well, we've known this. I mean, again, he did do. He wrote the story for Jurassic World and directed it. And again, when you're doing paste, cut paste from the original, it's not really much of a writing credit I'm going to give you. But we've again completely destroyed Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker previously in a previous old episode. When it's back up again, I'm sure it'll be one of our highly rated ones, I go on a full-on rant, and it's truly a fucking atrocious script, and it's a truly atrocious story. Rise of Skywalker. I don't care however way you want to look at it. It was bad.
Rise of Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah, and guess who wrote it? Colin Trevorrow.
Oh no, was it Colin? He wrote the original script because that's the one where he wrote the script and it was supposed to be all focused around Leia because it was each film was going to give the character a send off. So Han Solo got his send off in Episode 7. Luke Skywalker got his send off in 8, and Carrie Fisher, Leia, was supposed to get her send off in 9. And his original script, they kept parts of, but they had to change a lot of it, and that's why he stepped away from the project. He was supposed to write and direct the third, Episode 9, and he stepped away because he couldn't figure out how to retool it after Carrie Fisher's passing. So he is still credited, but as far as I'm aware, it's only parts of the plot that they kept. JJ worked with his team to sort of retool it into, again, it's basically A New Hope. Return of the Jedi. Particularly the third act is pretty much exactly Jedi. You've got 3 conflicts. You've got the same conflict going on in 3 different levels. You've got a battle on the planet, you've got a battle in the sky, and you've got a one-on-one battle with the Emperor. And that's very much the same as Jedi, where you've got the space battle happening with the Death Star, the on-the-ground fighting on Endor, and then Luke, Vader, and the Emperor inside the Death Star having their sort of battle between the 3 of them. So it's very much an amalgam of that. But yeah, I don't know why I'm defending Colin Trevorrow, because I've just fucking said I don't think he's a very good writer, so I don't know why I'm jumping to his defense. But yeah, I will give him, I will say that, parts of that were probably his original script. Because I think they released it, actually. I think his original script for Episode 9 is out there somewhere. You can find it.
Yeah, in this day and age, that doesn't surprise me. With with leaks the way they are these days, bless them, the poor Avatar guys will get to that.
Funnily enough, I was going to mention that in the intro, but then
we'll come back to that one. I've got a lot to say on that one, so I'm
I've
going
got some thoughts on that.
But yeah, it's one of those things that doesn't surprise me.
Where are we? I'm just looking for the episode. Star Wars sequel trilogy, episode 17. I believe that will be on the YouTube. Obviously, it's on all the podcast feeds, but it will be on the YouTube feed by June, July time, something like that.
There we go.
So yes, we leave it 3 years, and now we're making Jurassic World Rebirth. Whole new cast, whole new crew. Funnily enough, they get the writer of the first 2 back. David Koepp, who wrote the first 2 Jurassic Park movies, comes back to write this, and we get Gareth Edwards in the director's chair, who, I think Monster was the first thing I saw of his, which is an incredible monster movie that he shot with some friends in Peru or somewhere like that over about 2 weeks, and then came home and put it all together. He also directed the 2014 reboot of Godzilla that is obviously still continuing in that world. One of my favorite ones he's done ever was Rogue One. I fucking love that movie.
The underrated
enough of it.
Follow up, the next one, The Creator, massively underrated in my opinion.
What a fucking movie that is! Yeah, I'm looking at it on IMDb and it's only rated 6.7.
Massively underrated.
That is a fucking amazing piece of sci-fi.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am a huge fan of Gareth Edwards. I should say that going into this, because I'll be quite honest, I like this one way more than I should. Every time I watch it, I go, oh God, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. But I really want to like it because of the people involved in it. Like, I've always got time for Scarlett Johansson. I've always got time for Mahershala Ali. I want to like it more than I should, but it's interesting when you look into the production behind this, because so the story goes, about 2 years out from the release in 2025, Warner Brothers, the distributor, realized that they were expecting a Fast and Furious, what would it be, Fast X Part 2 or something. I'm still waiting for, because the first one ended with him and his son in his Mustang, no, in his Camaro, as a dam was blowing up in front of them and they were about to get washed away with water. And
Well,
and we're
I
still
know.
waiting for the second
Well,
part.
yeah, I'm waiting for us to get the franchise finished because I know for a fact that you really want to do a good old deep
I
dive.
kind of do, but only from
Yeah.
a humorous point of view.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've
that I do a deep dive on. You know, there are a couple
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah.
genuinely good movies in there, and then there is some absolutely hilarious nonsense in there that I just think it's fun to discuss around. But yes,
So yeah, the last two or three I've not
release.
watched. Yeah, I've not watched the last few because I know that we'll get there one day with
Yeah, exactly. But supposedly the slot was reserved for their big budget, you know, blockbuster part, you know, addition to the Fast series. And it became clear that it wasn't going to be ready to make that slot. So Warner Brothers panicked and essentially grabbed a guerrilla filmmaker and a trusted, you know, good hand writer who had written for the series before. And supposedly the whole thing was put together in 18 months before release. And you'll tell me the budget. I've been told it was on quite a small budget for a production of that size, but I'll be interested to hear what the budget figures are when we get there.
Again, you know, because Wikipedia is my go-to. 180 to 225.
Oh,
so
that is way more than I thought. I thought I was hearing it was made for 100 to 120, but fair enough. I'll trust the figures. That was a rumor and conjecture, not proper sources I was hearing that from. So fair enough. But yeah, I think for a film put together in 18 months, it's better than it has any right to be.
Yeah, I mean the problem again. The problem I find with this is this time around. The thing is that I love Rupert Friend. I think the man is fantastic.
I forgot his name. I meant to mention that was the third name that I was trying to think of. There were three names, and it was Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and the guy who plays the prick that hires them all to go there.
Yeah, Rupert Friend. I mean, he's so good. I mean, if you want to watch that guy probably do his best role ever, watch Death of Stalin. He's so fucking hilarious.
Oh God, yes.
So
good in that movie.
So good. Again, Jonathan Bailey. Bless him. I love him. But Jesus, dude, your American accent ain't great. This may have been the film where you were trying to put that and testing it. It's not great. But I think because I've seen stuff and I've seen him with an English accent, I'm a bit like, why couldn't they have just let you be British? You know, they don't always need to go, oh yeah, this smart American scientist. Why can't he be British? Just because the villain's British and why can't he be British as well?
Yeah, true. True.
You know, so that, yeah. The whole family taking the voyage around the world.
Yeah.
Again, I just wanted to drown the boyfriend straight off the bat. What a complete prick.
A fucking prick.
What a complete prick.
One of my notes here says, to be quite honest, you could take the family out in its entirety and I wouldn't care. And again, I don't think it's the case. I think the family were in the script from the start, but you could easily believe that they were shoehorned in at a late stage to give it a more family feel. You know, I can imagine a more hard-edged version of this where it is just the mercs on the island trying to survive.
Yeah, and
because it's a Jurassic movie and they wanted to get the kids in. Oh no, we need to put a family in there so there's something for the kiddies, and it brings the tone down a little bit, you know. But like it's almost because of the way it's constructed as well, you know, the family are off on their own for a large part of the movie. They very rarely interact with the other main cast apart from two sequences in the water and then at the end of the movie. And then they're sort of two tribes doing their own thing.
And it's like when they suddenly say, oh, it's so good to see you guys. You don't know them. They're fucking strangers to you. You just picked them up in the ocean. And in fact, you didn't want to fucking do it. He fucking did. So yeah, that was a bit weird. It did feel, and again, but again, I would say about this one is that it did feel. Although the runtime is okay, it's at the 2 hour mark. I feel like they probably could have shaved off 20 minutes, half an hour. If I'm being utterly honest,
I think you'd have had a much tighter, more impactful movie if you did. Yeah, I agree. And again, I would have cut some of the family sequences shorter.
Yeah.
You know, some of the bits in the early phase where they're on their boat and it gets capsized, and you know, you just cut down some of that shit. I didn't need that. Or where they're walking through the jungle and the bloke's fucking smoking his weed or whatever. You know, yeah, I'd have cut bits from there, to be honest.
I mean, the underlying thing for me is that the whole plot and this whole thing revolves around heart disease.
Yeah, curing heart disease. Yeah,
like it's not quite as impactful as you know, the dinosaurs are going to take over the earth. You know, we've got to stop. You know, a big, massive problem. It's human heart disease here. There's no. You've gone to the island. Like they're not coming at you or any of this shit. They're in the equator, which again we discussed previously. It's cool. You've now accepted the fact that the equator, that part of the Earth, is at the right temperature. It's at the right humidity that dinosaurs can survive and actually live there. Because guess what? If they went around the rest of the world, they'd all fucking die. And again, that was what, you know, it was like, okay, if you're going to do the idea of dinosaurs beginning to colonize Earth a little bit more, you could have it that, guess what, just again, that symbiotic relationship, the world starts to react to the more dinosaurs there are, more volcanoes suddenly go off and things like that. You could have that symbiosis. You could go down that avenue. You know, they're doing weird stuff with the whole monsterverse with Godzilla and all that kind of stuff. Why can't you tie dinosaurs and the Earth together? Anyway, but heart disease, it just doesn't have the right sting.
I totally get what you're saying. On the other side, I would argue that at least its premise is simple.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go to this island. We need to find the biggest land, the biggest air, the biggest sea, and we need to get their juice, and then we need to come home again. You know, it's quite a simple setup, actually. And particularly because obviously I watched these movies in sequence in preparation for this, coming off the back of 2.5 hours of fucking Dominion, where the plot was so convoluted and up its own arse, I just didn't care by the end. It was so refreshing to just go, oh, okay, we're going here. We need to find that one, and that one, get the juice out of them, and then come home again. I was like, oh, good. No, that's nice and simple. I can track that, you know? I was pleasantly surprised that the plot was that formulaic, which it is, but you know, I was pleased to have a more simple formula this time to follow. Funny you say about Jonathan Bailey. That does make me laugh. His character particularly, and I have a little bit of the same feeling in Project Hail Mary as well towards the end of it. Jonathan Bailey is a shut-in museum, you know, curator who apparently is the best solo free climber on the planet. Like, it just doesn't gel. It's like, no, but why would a museum director be in the gym every day and look that fucking buff? Like, it's almost badly cast. And I say the Hail Mary reference would be towards the end of Project Hail Mary. You know, you've got to take the Ryan Gosling out of the whole thing. You know, he sits there doing an entry to camera towards the end, and you can see the veins popping out of his biceps because he's in a short white t-shirt, and you're like, hang on, you've been in a spaceship in zero gravity.
But if you remember the story as you should, in fact, that actually occurs, because if you remember from the actual book story. So this is where, having listened to it multiple times,
it doesn't count.
There is no. Yeah, no, that is completely valid. But this is one of the reasons that I've had a conversation with several people this week about Project Hail Mary, and I encourage them. to read the book or at least do the audiobook. I love Ray Porter. I love his. The whole point is that because of muscle atrophy while he's going under the trip, the robot, the machine that was keeping him alive, was also flexing his muscles and also causing. So when he wakes up after being in a quote unquote coma for a period, even he's like, why am I fucking buff? And that is the reason why.
Fair enough. I still think he looks too buff before he
Sure.
goes
I mean, yeah, sure.
At the end of the day, he's Ryan Gosling, and he's playing a molecular biologist with a PhD who's a teacher. I don't think they're gym bunnies, largely. Now, they might be, but I don't think so generally. So yeah, that does amuse me. And there's that sequence where he falls off the fucking cliff and seems to fall into about half an inch of water and be absolutely fine. And it's like, no, it's fine. He hit some leaves on the way down. They broke his fall. It's all good.
I mean, I feel a bit bad for Ed Skrein because, again, he's one of those actors.
That's literally my next line is, oh, hi, Ed Skrein.
Yeah.
Hi, Ed Skrein.
Hi, Ed Skrein. Yeah. He's one of those actors that I love in things like, I remember, honestly, still by far, you can say what you like, he's still by far the best fucking villain that Deadpool's actually had to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so fucking good. You blink and you miss it kind of a thing. And I'm like, dude, I know it kind of comes out the water at you, but Jesus, you're supposed to be you were just there to add to the roster for a minute, and then you were the first casualty. Okay, then.
Yeah, it was funny because I was like, oh, cool, you're going to be in this, and then like you say, 5 minutes later, is like, oh no, you're dying in this. Okay, fair enough. Bye. See you later, mate.
But that said, I actually was Mahershala Ali. I was very much convinced that he was a dead man. So
absolutely.
I was, what?
100%. I'm
surprise.
Very surprised. Yeah,
surprised that he did survive.
I actually saw this one. Me and my dad went to see this one in the cinema with his free tickets, and yeah, right towards the end, I was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to survive." And then they do the flip, and he's still alive. So yeah, no, I was pleased to see that. I like the fact that he survived. And again, I think they do the best with what they're given at the end of the day. They're doing well with the material they've got, and I'd say, I do like it, maybe more than I should. I think obviously there's a lot of callbacks, there's a lot of homages. You've got something as simple as Rupert Friend in the beginning. Oh, that's what I wanted to say as well. That beginning sequence in New York where he's stuck in traffic because Barry the Brontosaurus has decided to have a sleep in the traffic. Mm-hmm. That is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where I say I want them to get into the weeds of how humanity manages
exactly what I was,
and how ridiculous is it that the film that isn't about that actually does the best job of tackling that material. I find it baffling. Dominion should have been the one doing that, but it was so wrapped up in its complex, convoluted bullshit about cloning and Maisie and fucking locusts that it didn't give itself any time to actually get into the interesting stuff. That whole it's only 10, 15-minute sequence, isn't it? But that does more to explore what it's actually, what we would actually do in the real world than any of the rest of them do.
And it's funny because honestly, if you think about Jurassic World, and if you put that as, say, a TV series, Jurassic World, humanity and dinosaurs interact.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the simple premise. And there you, like you say, it's how do you deal with fucking pterodons again in the god.
Yeah. It's
planes. We're gonna have to shut all the planes down. Okay, we've got a flock of pterodons going over. Okay. Oh, we've got a mosasaur in the harbour. Okay, all the shipping's got to slow down. Build the world around that. It's
like, this is going to sound silly, but like if Barry the Brontosaur does a shit in the middle of the high street, who cleans that up? Mm-hmm. Is there a dinosaur shit team that comes and cleans that up? You know what I mean?
If a dinosaur shits in the woods,
the sort of things that I would be interested in knowing. Yeah,
if a dinosaur shits in the woods, is there anybody around to clean it?
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say, although we haven't touched it, although we're talking about, the Jurassic franchise, one thing that I've not watched, and I'm certainly not going to anyway. The one thing that is actually funny and that I read a lot of is that the two animated series,
The Lego ones.
no, I don't think they're Lego ones.
There are
It's
two Lego ones called Camp Cretaceous.
Oh, are they
Yeah.
Lego ones? I didn't
They
realize
are
they were
Lego
ones.
Jurassic Parks. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Both of them are canon to the overall Jurassic Park storyline. Park into world. In fact, some of them bridge the gap between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard that that they were actually well received, and people really enjoy those. And I was like, oh, okay.
Years ago, when they were first released, I watched one of them. I forget which one it was now. But yeah, like you said, when I was sort of more deep diving into the early stuff, I did look up the a lore video I listened to one day that's hour long, all the lore of Jurassic Park to World Rebirth or whatever. And yeah, the Lego animated stuff that's on Netflix is entirely canon, because I think one of them takes place at the same time as one of the movies in the same place, but is someone else's experience of the events on a different side of the island or something. And then the other one, I believe, does bridge a gap between 3 and World, I think.
Yeah, one's called World Camp Cretaceous and the other's Chaos Theory, I think. So, but yeah, I'd heard that both were really, I mean, again, for CGI, kind of ones. I think it was, what's the face? Jenna Ortega was one of the main vocal cast in it. That was one of the reasons that a lot of people loved it. They were like, "Oh no, she's really good in it," which I was like, "Okay, fair play."
Oh, hang on, sorry. Yeah, you're totally right. Camp Cretaceous is the one I think bridges maybe takes place at the same time as World. But you're right. It's not Lego. It's there were some Lego ones. I've obviously confused the two. That is just an animated one that was released onto Netflix, and Chaos Theory is the same. So I must be thinking of different ones, but I know they did do some Lego themed ones at one point. I've obviously misread a poster at some point. But yeah, fascinated that they're in there, and yeah, like you say, they are well reviewed. So it'd be interesting to see. I'd be interested to see what they're like, maybe. Homages and stuff. Just to go back to that. The reason I was talking about that initial sequence, because it obviously does the objects in your rear view mirror are closer than you appear little nod as we put friends in his car. I think the entire sequence towards the end in the gas station is absolutely an homage to the Raptor sequence in the first one. Like, it's almost shot the same. It features some of the same things. Now, interestingly, because they got David Kep to write this, and presumably because he was under a time crunch, he clearly went, right, fucking hell, let me get the books back out and see which bits I didn't use. Because there is a sequence at the end of The Lost World where they are trying to find fuel, because they've only got electric jeeps and they need some fuel to get a boat going, and they go to a gas station and are hounded by standard raptors. Obviously, these are the genetically evolved raptors with wings, or whatever they're called. But that sequence is pretty much straight from The Lost World. Also, the sequence where the T-Rex chases the family down the stream in the inflatable.
Oh yeah,
is from the first book. So clearly he went, oh, I haven't used that, and I haven't used that. Let's use those and put them in the script for this one, which I found funny. That even, 20-something, more than nearly 30 years later, you're still using material from the source.
Yeah, I think that's. I think this is where, again, part of the franchise needs to change up a little bit, in the sense of, for me, some of the jump scares just do not work and do not sit with me. Like that whole, like you were saying, that whole sequence with the T-Rex going down the river. I was like, I have got no problem believing that every single one of them was going to make it out alive. This entire little family unit. I was like, yeah, got no fear about that. There was no, oh God, shit, what's going to happen? Anybody's expendable kind of a situation. They didn't really have that feel, sadly.
No, I agree. I do agree.
All I'll say, final point, is whether we're now going to see this diminishing returns. This of all of the now 4 world ones, I would say.
Yeah.
This has pulled in the least, 869 million. So this
Fair
is.
enough. I mean, I suppose let's be fair. The other films have been out for longer.
True.
So have had more time to make that money potentially, and obviously we spoke about World, the original part getting re-releases. I don't think they're re-releasing World, the original Jurassic World, to make more money anytime soon. It doesn't have that clout, does it? But
No,
and
I mean,
have they re-released The Lost World ever? I don't think. I've never seen that
no.
advertised at the cinema. Like you say, I've seen JP, 10th anniversary, 15th, 20th, 30th, you're right. I've seen that, definitely. Or particularly during COVID, where cinemas had nothing new to show, so they just started showing old stuff a lot of the time after the world reopened. But
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Genuinely, the other thing that, again, when I was reading this, again, I'm always fascinated by box office receipts and blah, blah, blah. I'm just curious. This was the 6th highest box office film of 2025, and that's at 869 million. So, I mean, I've spoken about the fact that I did not find many films last year that really, last year was not a great box office
year. I thought about doing like a best of 2025 or whatever, and I didn't because I hadn't had time to see some of the films that probably like I still haven't seen One Battle After Another. I haven't had a chance yet, and that may be one of the best films of last year. I don't know, so I wouldn't want to draw up a list without having seen what could be contenders for me personally anyway.
But in terms of money,
I struggled to think about it.
Yeah, in terms of money, that's still
a good bank. I mean, it's still going to generate a sequel, isn't it? It's still made money. It still was profitable. So,
yeah. Well, I would imagine at the moment we may wait and see a couple of years before they decide what they're going to do, whether they're going to bring these guys back or whether this is going to be another recast situation. We'll see.
Because, like I say, if it was made under the circumstances that it seems it was a rush job to get something out for that time slot. So maybe given more time, they would have gone a different way about it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I imagine it's not the last time we're seeing the Jurassic World brand in cinemas.
Jurassic Universe next.
Yeah, where do you go next? Yeah, you're right. Actually, last thing. Rebirth features, because the other ones I can't remember the moment of awe sequence if they feature one. If you're not sure what we're talking about there, in the first park episode when we were talking about those, I said that they all try and recreate the moment of awe from the first one where they see the brachiosaur for the first time, and they all fundamentally misunderstand why it works. It's the same here. It's the Titanosaur sequence because they're so big and impressive. I don't think the scale of them actually comes across properly. I think they just look like brachiosaurs. I don't see that they look much bigger. I think they should have done a better job maybe having some other creatures there that we know how big they are from previous movies or from earlier in the movie, so that when they're side by side, we have a basis of a comparison. To give an example of what I mean, I was listening to someone talking the other day about space battles and why battles in space in movies usually take place in front of a planet or a space station or something. They don't take place in the blackness of space. And the reason is that if you're in the blackness of space, scale becomes difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
Up, down, left, right, speed. It's very difficult to judge because you've got no frame of reference for how fast other things are moving around them because there's nothing around them. But I'd never thought about it. But as soon as he said it, I was like, shit, you're right. Yeah. They all have a backdrop in the background so that you have some basis for comparison for speed and for size, and this that sequence I feel is the same. They misunderstand. It's oh, look at the CG, how cool is it, and how big are these things? And it's like, yeah, but you've got these things in a bunch of themselves, so they're all just big things, you know. So yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to mention there. I had written down the moment of awe that they try and do.
No worries.
So, shall we move into a ranking list then?
Sure.
So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 films. Is that right?
7.
7. What have I missed? What have I missed? Oh, I've missed Jurassic World. I actually haven't put Jurassic World.
Yes, they're not all Jurassic World hyphen some name other, you
know. So yes, so we're going to include the park ones here to give you a full ranking of what we think. So starting from the bottom, in last place, surprising to no one, would be Jurassic World Dominion for me.
Yeah, it's hard because 3 sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it the William H. Macy factor because I actually enjoy his performance in that as a family man. He and Tia Leone as their little family, even if it is a batshit crazy, weird, dysfunctional family that it is, it's more enjoyable than watching some of these old guys return to basically get a payday and be looking a little bit bored.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, it's the same for me. So yes, my number 6 is Jurassic Park 3, because as you say, the William H. Macy and Tia Leone and Sam Neill of it all give it that little elevation for me.
And then for me, it's going to be The Lost World. It just doesn't.
God, you broke my heart.
I know. It just doesn't do anything for me, really. As I said before, it's okay, but it's hard to follow the majesty of the first one, and then it just didn't. Again, I'm going to take it back to a boat just floats up on the shore, and everybody's dead, and you still haven't told me why.
No, I get you. I don't. As we discussed in the previous episode, I have a real soft spot for that one, and I can't really quantify why. I'll be honest. So it is one of those ones that I totally accept. If it doesn't work for people, totally accept that. I don't know why, but it does work for me, and is one of my favorites of the series. So what would your number 5 be then?
For me, it's going to be Jurassic World.
Agreed.
Because Fallen Kingdom just adds a little dimension to it. Because the problem is that while it's not, World is essentially a repeat of Jurassic Park. Now, I can't put Park as number 1, which I'm clearly going to at this fucking point. That's obvious as shit. I can't put Park as 1.
Spoilers!
I know. I can't put Park as 1 and World as 2. That just looks ridiculous. So I'm padding them out. There's my reason.
My 5 is World as well. I like we say, it's not a bad movie, but it isn't. There the others have something else. The way I tried to look at it, like you say, all right, number 1's obvious. Let's give the ending away. But the rest of them, I looked at it and I was like, right, if someone sat down and gave me a copy of all of the movies, which one would I go? Oh, I want to watch that one. And then after I've watched that one, which one? You know what I mean? Which order would I pick them to watch in? Is kind of half of my thought process on this. If you turned to me and said, all right, we can watch Jurassic World or we can watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I'd pick Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't dislike World, but I would watch that one afterwards. I would watch Fallen Kingdom because that's the one I enjoy more,
Yeah, I love a good old volcanic explosion as well. And I must say, the special effects for that look fucking awesome.
They spent a lot of money in the first sequence, and yeah, there isn't really much for plot. And like I said, it's a bit smashy, crashy, explosion, bang, wallop, smash, but it works. It does what it's supposed to do, and I am taken along for the ride while it's happening.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not this isn't. Oh, okay, we're retreading the same ground. No, okay, no, you've taken the characters that you've just established, and you're moving them along a new path.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
again, it's that thing of I don't like Rafe Spall in it. In some ways, I kind of wish that Rupert Friend and Rafe Spall had kind of switched in some ways. That would have
Yeah.
made this film a little bit better for me. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that's good casting. Actually, that would have worked. You're right. You're right.
yeah. And that's the thing. Sometimes you switch an element out, and it can make a film better for me. But again, it is what it is.
So you're number 4.
Fallen Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah. Mine was. Yep, mine would be Fallen Kingdom as well. Oh, I wonder whether. No, we're not going to line up on these then. Your third one.
Oh wait, I'm all out of whack now. Hang on a minute.
So both of our 7 was Dominion.
No. I'm gonna probably actually tell a lie. I'm gonna put probably Rebirth ahead of Fallen Kingdom. Yeah.
So Rebirth goes 3 for you. Yeah.
Rebirth goes 3.
Agreed. Same on my list. Rebirth is 3. So what on earth are you putting at number 2?
I think this is where I think, because I said 1 out of order that you may have not. Yeah, so I think Rebirth is going to be my 2.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm trying to write down what you're saying as well, so that I can do the notes for the end. So I've got yours as being 7 Dominion,
correct.
6 The Lost World.
Yeah.
World.
No, you missed 3. You missed Jurassic Park 3.
Sorry. So 3 was in 5th?
In between Dominion and Lost World.
Oh, okay. So your number 6 was 3. Your number 5 was Lost World. Getcha. Okay, no worries. That one's FK.
Like you say, I love Gareth Edwards. While elements of the story didn't entirely convince me, heart disease.
Yeah.
The action is good.
Yep.
Again, it starts off in the sea. You've got those interesting elements. You've got the people being abandoned, being rescued. It's got the right, he's pulling at the right strings for me. And cinematically, he ticks all the right boxes.
Yeah. And I do think it's one of those movies that when you're watching it, you don't see the problems. It's only after the film's finished that I look back on it and I go, well, that was a bit stupid. Oh, did that work? Oh, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? But I find myself going, I don't care. Because when it's happening in front of me, I am along for the ride. Like you say, maybe a bit too long as well, but I am there for it and I really enjoy it when I'm watching it. My number 2 then is The Lost World. It is the second best for me. I remember when I watched Rebirth last year, the Richard, hello if you're listening, my friend from work, he was talking, he's a huge fan, I think I mentioned him in the previous episode, huge fan of the franchise, and we were talking about it, and I said, well, it's the 3rd best Jurassic Park movie, or the 3rd best Jurassic movie they've ever made, and he went, no, it isn't, it's the 2nd best, and I was like, you don't like The Lost World, do you? And he was like, no, I don't like The Lost World. And I was like, fair enough. In which case, yes, it's the 2nd best Jurassic movie ever made. I agree. You know what I mean? So I get that I am the outlier on this one.
And unsurprisingly, top of the list.
You cannot beat perfection, as far as I'm concerned. They got that exactly right. It was the right mix of CG and practical, so that you don't really notice a lot of the time when the CG is CG. And again, we talked about the T-Rex sequence. If you haven't listened to the first episode, do go and listen to that one if you're interested. I go very deep into the effects side of it and how much of a step change it was in the wider filmmaking industry. It is an important movie in the historical sense of cinema, whether you realize it or not. Yeah, well, there we go. Jesus Christ. A tight 90 minutes by the looks of it, maybe. Have you got anything else on the series, on Worlds or Parks or Jurassics before we close this one off?
No, I think it's I think it's been an interesting wander down the Jurassic World Park Lane.
Ah,
Area.
nice.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I do try every once in a while. Yeah, no, it was an interesting journey down that route again. It's some of those films I haven't watched in a minute. And that's kind of one of the fun things about doing some of these little lists that we have, like the Mission Impossible one. Revisiting some films that I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way, particularly to watch otherwise,
Yeah.
and finding a sense of enjoyment in them. Again, like of course, I had to rewatch the original Jurassic Park. Who wouldn't? But again, when you've got somebody as captivating as Richard Attenborough on screen, it's hard not to be a little bit interested and a little bit fascinated by the majesty of somebody talking about bringing dinosaurs back to life. It takes you back to when you first saw that film as a kid, and the little magic lightning in a bottle that they managed to capture with this film still stands up 30 plus years later.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's a great piece of work. And yeah, we'll like we say, we assume the franchise is not dead because the Rebirth was at least profitable. So we assume there'll be more down the road, and we'll see whether they try and reboot it with a new crew again, whether they try another nostalgia play. Who knows? We will see as time passes. But do you got any wise words for the people this week?
The iron rule: treat others less powerful than you however you like. The silver rule: treat others as you'd like to be treated. The golden rule: treat others as they'd like to be treated.
Ooh, interesting. Where's that from?
You'll catch up there eventually. You'll get there.
Interesting. Ooh, cryptic. You bastard. Yeah. Shit. Because I feel like I know that.
You possibly do, and it's just not shaking
I feel like I know it.
license.
It's like when you did the Bar Wheat Grana fucking Ninny Bon. That rang the oldest and dustiest fucking bell in my mind palace at the time.
I'm
And I
gonna let you
could
think
not
on this one.
believe that bell existed. Whereas this one, there's something ringing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no fucking idea which filing cabinet is ringing right now.
I'll give you a minute, and then we'll catch up on that one at the next one. And,
yes, tune in next time if you're still listening to find out the answer to that one and much more. So yeah, we'll leave it there then. I'll say that I've been Bav,
and I have been Fluff.
and this was Screen Masters.